What's up, everybody? This is the world's hottest heel, El Rudo de las Chicas, Sam Adonis, and you are watching Wrestling with Regret.
You know, a wise man once said, I think his name was Newton, that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, and nowhere does this fit better than in wrestling. Every company needs a big, strong babyface to build around, but what good's a good guy if he doesn't have someone to stand tall against? Enter the heel, the antagonistic force whose only job is to rile up the audience so the babyface looks good in comparison. And if you're a heel, the best tool at your disposal to do that is heat. For the uninitiated, heat is basically the heel equivalent to the babyface pop. While a babyface may pop the crowd with big moves and emotional victories, heels generate heat by cheating, cutting scathing promos, and just being overall dicks. There are countless examples of great heels who could elicit intense reactions by their mere presence. Legends such as Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Chris Jericho, and anybody with the last name McMahon all had the ability to get audiences frothing at the mouth before they uttered a single word. To connect with an audience and achieve the desired reaction is the single greatest ability a person can have as a performer. But here's the rub. Once you have someone who's good at getting heat, one of two things usually happens. Either that wrestler gets so beloved for their heel antics they become babyface, or fans get so bored of the act they want that guy off of television entirely. That's what we call go-away heat. Go-away heat's also referred to by its common nickname, X-Pac heat. This version of the term was born sometime in late '99 or perhaps early 2000 in the aftermath of a lengthy feud between X-Pac and Kane. For months, the kid would mock Kane and win matches in sneaky ways, all while being a skeezy dude making out with Kane's former girlfriend, Tori. Basically, people were so sick of seeing X-Pac on screen, he was actually creating a new kind of heat, one that transcended kayfabe and was more aimed at the performer himself. Instead of fans wanting to see the heel get his comeuppance at the hands of the babyface, they just want the heel to be off their screens and out of the company. In my opinion, the term X-Pac heat's an unfair blemish on the career of a man who really should be recognized more for his abilities and accomplishments, but that's for another video. Anyway, go-away heat has long been used by some fans to voice their disdain with certain characters, but has the term lost its meaning over time? This week my goal is to explore and examine the differences between regular heel heat and go-away heat, and try and figure out whether or not this is sometimes just this. For a closer look at this phenomena, let's look at two of the top heels in wrestling today. In WWE, there may be no more prolific heel on the roster than Baron Corbin. In fact, you're probably getting a minor headache at the mere mention of his name. Quick disclaimer, I will be talking about Corbin a lot throughout this video to make my arguments. It may sound like I'm trying to defend him, but believe me when I say that's not my goal. Though Corbin has spent his entire career as a heel, he peaked in the past year as an extension of the already reviled Authority, working as a foil to babyface general manager Kurt Angle. Eventually, the baddest waiter on the planet would replace Kurt as the acting GM of Raw, where his worth as a heel leapt to the forefront. He abused his power to put himself in the Universal title picture and repeatedly moved the goalpost in an attempt to secure the best advantage for himself by changing the rules on the fly and recruiting others to do his bidding. Needless to say, people didn't like him. Next, we have Maxwell Jacob Friedman, or MJF for short. In less than 5 years since his debut, he's fast become one of the top heels in the scene today. You know the guy is good when he's getting praise from Jim Cornette, a man who doesn't seem to like anything in wrestling today. But it's not hard to see why JC is so fond of young Friedman, as MJF is careful with his words on the mic, gaining maximum results with minimum verbiage. He's a perfectly good wrestler, but when the time is right, he's willing to cheat in order to win by any means necessary. At Double or Nothing, Max managed to heel on Bret Hart and Adam Page, the man poised to be All Elite Wrestling's next top star. From his swagger, to his taunts, to his promos, he makes sure you know that you're there to see him, and preferably to see him get beaten up. As AEW prepares to make its TV launch, MJF's positioned himself in the role of main antagonist in very few appearances, shining brightly above his contemporaries. The point here is that neither man's doing anything new. In fact, they're both utilizing some of the oldest tricks known to wrestling and doing it effectively. In an age where fans seem to have forgotten what a heel is, and so many of them try to play their antics up for laughs, these two have mastered the subtle art of no-selling the audience in their own way to have heel heat that works. So why is MJF considered today's standard bearer while a main event featuring Baron Corbin sees the ratings plummet? Well, the answer may lie somewhere in the overall presentation, not just of the wrestlers themselves, but by the companies they work for. This time I'll start with MJF. Anyone who's seen him live knows he loves to rile up fans at shows, but his commitment to the gimmick extends far beyond the ring. From insulting fans and other wrestlers on social media to his appearances on Steve Austin and Chris Jericho's podcasts, he refuses to break character. This comes from the amount of control he's given and the fact he can truly guide his character, keeping his appeal fresh. Corbin, on the other hand, is part of a larger corporate structure that dictates every moment of his time on air. Similar to the X-Pac example, a constant presence will eventually see diminished returns, especially when the same tricks to get heat are used over and over and over again. With a roster as large as WWE's, many feel that the time given to Corbin could have been utilized better in creating other stars, which is why it was so damn satisfying to see him get beaten down by every wrestler he had wronged while GM. But more importantly, it's not just their use of Corbin that makes fans to want him gone, it's their language as well. When Raw's ratings were tanking late last year, it happened to coincide with Corbin's run as the show's kayfabe GM. Therefore, the message that was delivered every week on TV was that Baron Corbin, and only Baron Corbin, was responsible for the company's woes. See the issue here? Now, we won't even get into the fucked up optics of a company blaming all their creative issues and the motivations of the old man at the top of the food chain on one man who's simply reading the script given to him, but the point is, Corbin's been labeled as ratings cancer by the company that up until recently kept putting him on television. Part of the reason there's such a negative reaction by fans is because the man they continue to push has been presented as bad for television. I'd argue that getting heat hasn't changed all that much, but the audience has. Back in the days before wrestling really made itself known about what its true nature was, fans would get so upset at guys like Cornette and Jerry Lawler and Roddy Piper and Bobby Heenan, those guys would get death threats. Death threats! These fans just didn't want to see them get beat up or taken off TV. They wanted them off this plane of existence. And all over wrestling. Can you imagine? But in today's age, consumers have been trained to demand instant satisfaction not only with what we're given, but what we're expecting. When we don't get what we want, we don't issue death threats to people, well, not usually anyway. We complain online. We see it in how we respond to movies and video games not being to our exact liking, and we see it all the time in wrestling. Even I've been guilty of crapping on a storyline in week 1, only for it to get good by week 3 or 4. But those high standards also impacted one of the bigger matches at this year's WrestleMania. When it was announced that Kurt Angle would have his final match at Mania 35, everybody speculated who it could be and came up with reasons for each of them. But instead of seeing Kurt take on Drew McIntyre, Chad Gable, or John Cena, fans were told the gold medalist would take on Baron Corbin, and fans got pissed. They felt they were being deprived of what could have been an instant classic with anyone else in the opposing corner. People spent weeks hoping and praying for some last-minute booking change to save them from all this pain, a last-minute swerve, if you will. Even though Corbin made the most sense from a storyline perspective over the last year, it didn't stop fans from complaining, which in turn didn't make the company change their mind. So why is that? The thing is, a wrestler's job is to get a reaction from the audience, good or bad. If you didn't get a reaction, then you failed at your job. If a heel gets booed, does it make a lick of difference why they got booed or what the reasoning behind that reaction was? Short of polling everyone in attendance at that moment, can you truly figure out why a wrestler gets booed? And even if you could poll the audience, would it be accurate? Hell, fans still boo John Cena when he appears and most don't even know why anymore. Whereas a guy like MJF's able to read a room and adjust his character accordingly to be the most effective heel possible without hurting his brand, WWE can't tell if you're booing Baron Corbin because you think he's a real jerk to your favorite babyface or because you just want him off your TV. When he gets booed just for being named Kurt Angle's opponent, is it any wonder they consider him an effective heel? They're getting the reaction that they want, which tells them to keep doing what they're doing. With our growing knowledge of the wrestling business and its players, it's only natural we use that knowledge to form our opinions on what we see on television. It's our curse as hardcore fans. But a fan who may not be smart to the business, for example a young child, is often more willing to enjoy what they're watching and experience the vision that a company wants to play out. The way I see it, part of what makes go-away heat is often just us as fans imprinting our desires on the product. It's often hard to tell because it's very tough to distinguish heat from things like booking or screen time. But it's not just projection by the fans or a wrestler's natural heel charisma. It's overexposure, it's repetition, it's a lack of comeuppance. It's all these things, some more than others. It's never one single thing, so it's impossible to truly tell when a wrestler's crossed that line. Some say Baron Corbin has go-away heat because he was on TV for way too long and the ratings suffered as a result. Others say he's one of the best heels in the business because he's really good at making fans not like him. The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. Ultimately, perhaps go away heat's actually a sign that there's a need for companies to retool their creative processes. Obviously, WWE should heed that kind of advice, but it's something that every promotion should keep in mind at every level. For instance, AEW's got a lot of goodwill among fans now, but once their TV show kicks in, will they be able to keep their momentum going, or will fans lose their patience if some of their favorite heels get that go-away vibe? Time will tell. Let me know your thoughts on Go Away Heat. How much of it is due to creative, the rest of themselves, or fans' expectations? Who do you think right now best personifies the best kind of heel heat? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.